After Christchurch, we heard about solidarity with the Muslim community. After Pittsburgh, we heard about anti-Semitic attacks and solidarity with the Jewish community. But after the church bombings in Sri Lanka, we hear it's an attack on all people, and it's an attack on Easter worshippers. They cannot say Christianity because there's a war on Christianity. And I'm no defender of Christianity because they are basically the ones that have been traditionally getting rid of gay rights throughout the world in the past. But now they've given that mantle, given that torch to Islam to eradicate gay rights and women's rights and human dignity around the world. So the leaders all had to virtue signal and come out and declare their solidarity for Easter worshippers. And as soon as you say Easter worshippers, you might as well say so-called Islamic State. You might as well use their propaganda, you know what I mean? They have a religion. It's a Christianity is the religion. They are Christians. They're not Easter worshippers. Are they Christmas worshippers if they're at Christmas or whatever? Why can't you be a Christian in this world now? Why is there a war on Christianity? Well, because there's a mass migration agenda with the replacement populations. Because they're no longer the minorities. We have to call them minorities, but they're the majority of the world. Look at Indonesia. Pretty much an Islamic country. It's the most populous Islamic country in the world, with most Muslims in any country. I didn't even know Indonesia was a country. I thought it was an ungainly collection of islands. But bless, it calls itself a country. Then there's the Middle East, with all those lovely Islamic countries following Sharia law to the letter. That's where homosexual rights just don't exist, and you can be killed for being gay, or for blaspheming the Prophet. You can be executed, like in Pakistan. So the majority of the Middle East and Pakistan and lots of parts of the Far East, including Indonesia and the Philippines, are now Islamic, and now Sharia states. So many places in the world that were moderate before have now become hardline Islamist countries. They've become hardline Sharia nations that are really... It's all happened because of a coalition with Saudi Arabia and Israel. The people that started 9/11, the people whose fingerprints connect to 9/11. On the Israel side, it's the dancing Israelis and Larry Silverstein who said pull it. And on the Saudi side, it's the 28 pages and the deal that Trump struck with the Saudis to not be indicted, not have those 9/11 families sue the Saudis. You know, Trump has basically become friends with the Saudis and friends with Kim.com and Kim.com, Kim Jong-un or Il or whatever, I don't know. He's friends with dictators around the world, and that's kind of the job, you have to be. Now he's had a meeting with Jack Dorsey, and that meeting means that they're basically colluding because it wasn't public, was it? Can we find out what they talk about? No. Can we find out what actually happens? What's the process of government? Why are social media companies now, like Facebook and Twitter, so keen to run to government for protection? Because we already know they're too big to fail, and now they want to become government, basically, because then they have supreme monopoly over all their competition. If the government gets involved in Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, which it will, which it pretty much already is, then they'll never die. And they'll be protected from criticism. And the criticisms they get that they're hosting the content that is put on their website, well, they won't have to be responsible for hosting the content if the government does it, so it actually solves their problems. That's why Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg, they're all running to the government to get them to regulate social media. It also funds the now well-funded and pretty ubiquitous censorship industry, because the censorship industry employs lots of people to trawl the internet forums and things for words that are blacklisted and things, and now algorithms do that actually, but you know, they have people listening to Alexa, they have people scanning people's comments, all these companies. There is no freedom anymore. Censorship is the new free speech, because it's too profitable, you understand, and morals don't matter when it comes to making profit. And you could say that's capitalism, you could say it's corporatism, it is actually cronyism and corporate fascism, etc. But you've got companies like Chinese companies like Grindr that have agreed to sell people's private HIV data or work with Sharia regimes to round up gay people with their apps, because they would rather do that and make money from them than not have a business operating in that country and some competition running instead, where they'd be taking the money that's rightfully Grindr's. So basically these companies have no morals. They don't care about what they purport to do. They are just there to upend society and make as much money as possible in the process, just like George Soros. And by the way, there seems to be a bit of a conspiracy theory about George Soros. Oh, another one, about him actually being, you know, under security and kept under heavy guard right now. What's the point in making up things like this? It doesn't help our cause. Our cause is the cause of truth, not the cause of propaganda. We don't need to fabricate narratives to be vindicated. We don't. In fact, it helps us if we stick to the truth. If you want conspiracy bait, then go and read Neon Nettle and all that crap. If you want to read about Jacob Rothschild saying the New World Order is in peril, we need to depopulate quicker, then go to read those things. They're not real. It's conspiracy bait, and it's just as fake as CNN and the mainstream media and Wikipedia and all the fake paradigm information, Snopes. We need to be very selective about the information we choose to call genuine. Usually the information the establishment doesn't support. And well, speaking of the establishment supporting, let's look at Farage's Brexit Party. Now we've got Anne Widdecombe joining the Brexit Party. Well, the establishment loves the Brexit Party. Soros has agreed not to protest the Brexit Party, but has now sent his minions to protest and shout down anyone advertising UKIP or anyone working for UKIP because they are actually anti-establishment. So the so-called anti-establishment Farage is now the establishment. Anyway, I didn't want to talk about the great divider of Great Britain. See, the Brexit Party enables the right to vote for Brexit whilst feeling good about themselves, because they didn't feel good about themselves voting for Brexit if they were voting for UKIP, because UKIP had too many racists and far-right people, and people said they wouldn't rape them in them, so they can now virtue signal by voting for the Brexit Party and feel good about voting for Brexit. That's what it's all about. Pathetic. Patriots? Traitors, more like.